Hello and welcome back to the podcast for the recently deceased. I am Nate Roberts.
And with him, as always, Rodney. What's up, brother?
Oh, not too much, Rod. It's been a long time since we've sat in
hmm
these chairs. Hopefully, some people are excited that we're back. I got married last week, two
Hey,
weeks ago, something like that. Who can remember?
who wants
It
to
was so
remember
long ago.
the beginning
Um,
of the rest of your life?
the beginning of the end
hmm
of
No, that's
my
awesome. It
life.
was great to see happen.
Yeah, I'm so glad you were there. Thanks for turning out. It was a great time.
hmm Yeah.
All right, tonight we're going to be talking about Cobweb. Um, I heard nothing about this movie, right? Like
Uh,
it just came out of nowhere. One day it didn't exist. The next day it was on I think Hulu.
yeah, it hit all the streaming platforms pretty quickly it dropped the same week of Oppenheimer and Barbie. And so that obviously set it up for success at the box office. And they're like, yeah, well, what are we going to do? And so they just dumped it on all the platforms. So,
Right.
Cobweb. An 8-year-old boy tries to investigate the mysterious knocking sounds that are coming from inside the walls of his house, unveiling a dark secret that his sinister parents have kept hidden from him. Directed by Samuel Bowden, written by Chris Thomas Devlin. And this is starring Lizzie Kaplan, Anthony Starr, two people that you will recognize, and Cleopatra Coleman playing the would be heroine of our boy's story. So, yeah, man, it came out of nowhere. It was released at an awful time. And it wasn't until after I watched it where I was like, this is crazy. This could have been a bit of an instant classic, maybe if it had been, marketed properly.
Yeah, I think if more people saw this in the theater, more people definitely would have been talking about it. I mean, I know that sounds very obvious, but it wasn't bad. Like in a year of so much bad horror, it was good. It wasn't great, but it was good, and more people should have seen it. More people should be talking about it. Um, obviously, I enjoyed it. Um,
No, I think overall I think I'm more critical of it, but I feel like I it had all of the right elements that I would want in a Halloween movie, a horror movie in general, and a palatable one that I could introduce people to just have fun, one that I could put on a Saturday afternoon while I'm doing cleaning in the other room or something else. It's nice ambiance for the season. It does a lot of goofy things, and so that's why you can't take it too seriously or not too worried about that aspect of it. But it executes a lot of things well, and it's entertaining to watch. So yeah, I mean it's not Trick or Treat, but it feels similar to the vibe of Trick or Treat, just due to all of the Halloween moods that are on screen. So
yeah,
I loved that part of it.
this would have been an excellent like early October release.
hmm
It definitely would have gotten more attention, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what's made people notice it is that it's been so bizarre the way that it hit, and the people that did watch it, they're like, yeah, this is our movie that we would want to watch, and it's just not happening at the right time of year. So, but that's fine also because there's been such an awful year of releases that it kind of coming when it did. In, what is that? Was that June at that point? When it
Yeah,
did
they
drop, it
came out
was
a
kind
while
of
ago.
like invigorating because it was like, yes, I've been watching garbage, and this was not as much garbage as everything else has been. So it was really a nice palate cleanser, an aperitif, or what, a mousse bouche.
An amuse bouche, yes. The amuse bouche to I think for me it was Talk to Me. I watched Cobweb, and then like the next day I watched Talk to Me. So,
Sure.
yeah, which we'll be doing in a few episodes from now.
Yeah,
Um,
apples and oranges.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. But they were, still both enjoyable.
hmm
That's
Yeah, give me your rundown and your overall
all
feelings.
right. Sounds good. Okay, Cobweb, a title so simple and a journey anything but. In a world brimming with horror stories, this film dares to turn our homes into echoing chambers of dark secrets. It reminds me of classics like The Shining, where buildings breathe and pulse with malevolence. We're led by young Peter, an embodiment of every child's fear of the unknown. With him, we dive into a web of mysteries. You know those eerie childhood nights when harmless shadows took monstrous forms? Peter's journeys feel like a twisted nod to those bedroom walls, teetering between innocence and sheer terror. The parents? Their duality kept me guessing. Protectors or predators? Maybe a bit of both. The film does stumble, treading paths horror aficionados might find familiar, and sometimes I wish the pacing had been a little tighter to keep your heart racing from scene to scene instead of lagging a bit as it did. The climax was hauntingly ambiguous. Cobweb for me wasn't just about scares, but it blurred the lines, family bonds, and hidden traumas. Not a perfect film, but a reminder that sometimes terror is closer to home than we think. I gave Cobweb 6 spoonfuls of rat poison out of 10.
Excellent take, Nate. I love it. Well said. So for me, I think Cobweb cements itself as a film that I'm going to watch during spooky season. Uh, all of the things that you've mentioned in the pros column are valid and accurate. I would add maybe more specifically the cinematography of the film and the vibe of the film is on point. The tropes and everything that it uses sometimes uh, you accept it and it's fine. It doesn't bother you. But there's times where it kind of pulls you a little bit away, or the veil when you're seeing behind the curtain a little bit too much because you know what to expect, or the next beat you can feel, and that might kind of a hard nosed horror fan is going to be like go one of two ways. Either they're like annoyed that they've noticed it and takes them out, or they acknowledge it and it's like, yeah, this is fine, and because it's done well. Uh, the buildup is excellent. The perspective of the child is executed to a high level. There's so many shots of the inside of this house, and it made me think of when we watched *Malignant*, where this small house now has this massive interior. This movie does the same thing. The shot where the child is coming down the stairs and you are blasted with that giant shadow of the parent, so preposterously large, making no sense whatsoever, but it aesthetically looked awesome. All kinds of decisions like that are made that are just like well done. But all the other things, the story and the plot, the actions of the substitute teacher, I couldn't help but be extremely annoyed with, having been in it, being in education, knowing that this is just never something that's ever going to happen. The pumpkin patch in the backyard that makes no real sense, but it just looks really cool. It's just weird stuff is happening, and it's all piled on there, and it's done well enough where you're not annoyed. And the climax I thought was like extremely satisfying, the way that it kind of just punctuates all the right tones at the very end with just some like straight up violence, and the ambiguity of actually what's going to happen to our lead uh, in the future is kind of a nice comforting take where things are normally tied up in a package where you're like, yes, this is exactly how you should perceive the events, and just leave us now. So I'm landing at Cobweb at a 4 critically. However, I will say that this is definitely a guilty pleasure type movie where I feel feelings for it that are more akin to a 6 or even a 7 because I enjoyed it 100%. 4 is not saying you will not like this movie. I think you will like this movie. I just think that it's worth that rating, if that makes sense.
All right,
Maybe
all
that's
right. I
unfair.
mean, I mean,
Maybe
yeah.
maybe I can't say that.
I
It's
think
kind of a dick move.
I think the 4 is a little bit of a dick move, but I have to agree with you on the cinematography. This felt like *Malignant*
Yeah.
with a small cast. This smelled like
Mm,
a budget James Wan movie in a house. You know, the kid's performance was like perfect.
yes.
Lizzie Kaplan, who I've loved since before Cloverfield. Um, you know, I think I just recently, not recently, but the most recent thing I remember her from was that episode, or that episode, the season of Castle Rock, where she plays the young Kathy Bates character from Misery. And I
Hmm.
mean, she
Annie
just,
Wilkes.
yeah, she just rocks that character. Um,
Yeah.
and you see a bit of that character, I think, in this character. A bit of that performance echoed there. And then the guy who plays Homelander is
Anthony Starr.
he's
It's
just
so
like
perfect.
he's
He's the
so
same guy.
perfect. He's so perfect.
He's
He's just
he's just
a
Homelander.
like at hiding the fact that he's a psychopath is
Hmm.
like it's his shtick. He's been typecast as the
Yeah.
guy who can appear completely normal and become psychotic on a dime, and you believe it.
Yeah, I think that I mean, we'll get into heavier spoiler territory here, but like the turn that the movie takes, it's not as if you kind of know something's up the whole time, but like whenever they start to deal with the lock on the door to the basement to put the kid in, it was like an abrupt kind of like I didn't see it go in that direction. Like, oh, so they're gonna like I knew something was weird, but I didn't know that they were gonna put him in this weird spot. And then I'm like, that was messed up. That I
And when
enjoyed
and
that
when they throw him
turn.
down there, I think the first thing you think is they've done this before.
Yeah,
You're like they didn't just have this kill room, like they didn't just be like, oh, we need to build a room just in case we need to throw our son down there. They're like they already had this room. It was already a plan B.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just everything that is happening with the kid, all the other events or the way that they depict certain things, it just makes sense that you're kind of seeing a certain whimsical type stylization with some of those shots that it puts you in that the child's mind, like you were kind of evoking whenever you were saying your review. It was great.
Oh yeah.
But no, okay. So look, the teacher, it's
All right,
so
right, right.
stupid.
So,
It was
so
annoying
real,
to me.
real quick for newcomers to the channel, after the kind of ambiguous reviews, which we do quickly, we get into some more long form spoiler territory. So here we go with the spoilers. Um, Rodney.
Yeah, look, the teacher stuff, the teacher angle, I feel like that was just they could have spent a little bit more time, maybe talk to an actual person in education to see if this is something that would ever happen, and it's not. You're not going to get a substitute teacher that is monitoring a student and is concerned and is then going to visit the house. That will not happen
Right.
ever. Period. End of the movie. So find another way to do it. Just make it the regular teacher. It doesn't have to be a substitute teacher. Maybe there's supposed to be a sense of naivete to this person, and I guess I get that. But like, she's got a goddamn Halloween hat. It's the second day that she's been subbing in this class. She's already dressed like she's for Halloween and she's reading a storybook. I'm like, she's looking at a sub plan. She's angry. She's annoyed. She doesn't want to be there. She's getting $90 to be there for the day, if that. And that's in New York. She's
Right.
probably getting like 50. And it's like, you don't care. You're so frustrated. You're not handling that classroom as well as she does. And there was this, she was eating a sandwich and she answers her phone. It was like, all the classic scenes of like the detective or whomever. There's someone in the background always eating when you
Yeah.
cut to them. The guy in the forensic lab. It felt like that. I thought it was like a cute little thing. But all of her decision making doesn't make any sense. Going to the house at the end and saving. Um, I just felt like that character should have been written a little bit better. It's a minor gripe. It doesn't
Sure.
stop me from enjoying it, but it was like the teacher inside me. I was
Yeah.
like, no, it pulled me
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go that deep because I
Yeah,
just don't know that much. But I do think she was like the most unbelievable character in the movie. Like her decisions were hard to get behind. But
right.
you needed someone. There needed to be a hero for the boy, and that was just like the best they could come up with. They didn't want it to be
Well,
a
yeah, and I mean,
babysitter or
she's very attractive. She's wonderful to watch and to like it fits. Like it does seem like this younger, innocent type person that can reach out to this kid that you feel good about having her on your side or going against this evil in the
Mhm.
house. It was not written super well. It could have just tweak it a little bit and it would have
Yeah.
been not an issue.
Yeah. Okay. So we start off with this boy. He's hearing stuff through the walls,
Hmm.
all these weird sounds, and like I definitely felt that. Like I grew up in a small trailer. I think it was like 3 bedrooms, but they're tiny. I'm 7 years
Hmm.
old. My brother's 5 in the next room, and like the shadows, the sounds, like the walls are so thin.
Yeah.
Um, not knowing what the sound is, what's making the sound, where it's coming from, that kind of thing. It all resonated super super hard with me, which I really enjoyed. Um, then
I was going to ask you, did you, this is like to the sounds and the walls and everything. you're known for your clairvoyance or your
Ah,
procrastination.
yes.
You can predict movies
I
very, very
yes.
well.
I
Prognostication is the word I was
yeah.
looking for. So, did you see what was ultimately happening? Because
Okay.
for a while, I was still along this ghost story.
Yeah, yeah. I think I had it pegged as Ghost for a while, and then and then it was like, okay, well maybe it's a person. I hadn't landed on Sister until it was revealed.
Sure.
So no. And honestly, I also did not see the mother being evil either. Like
Mm,
obviously crazy, but in my opinion, crazy from living with, being controlled by, abused by, etc. The
yeah.
psychopath husband. I didn't think they were both like equally insane and equally responsible for
Hmm.
the sister and the boy. Um, so no, I actually didn't call anything in this movie, which was very
That's cool.
refreshing. Probably one of the reasons
Yeah.
I enjoyed it so much is that
Yeah.
I kept being wrong. And then my favorite, and you mentioned this already in your review, the climax, the last 15 minutes. Those boys in the Halloween costumes, they kind of come in. They're gonna rearrange this kid's face because of what happened to his little brother, and straight out of a James Wan movie, Malignant style. It was the last 15
Hmm.
minutes of the movie was Malignant. Like it was just
Yeah.
this hair monster instead of this
Yeah,
tumor
the most
monster.
preposterous thing, like it's like it's barbarian levels of
Yeah.
incredulity as far as why this thing now has these powers and capability, but you don't care because you want to watch the insanity happen, and it was
Yeah.
glorious. Like all the little shots of the hair dangling through, and it's like crawling on the walls. It was just enough information to give you creeps and then get you excited to see the kids just get
Yeah.
their
I
asses handed to them.
I love.
Which also sidebar, I don't know if you noticed, that's Gary Busey's son.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, uh, old man Gary Busey. And now I don't want to ageist here, but I
Oh,
think he's
sure.
almost 80. And that little
Wait, the
child actor.
youngest kid was his son.
Yes, yes, the
Oh.
original kid that was the bully, who then
Oh,
got his
sure.
cousins to go break into a house to beat up a kid. Again, let's not
Yeah.
hang our hat on the writing.
But they were older kids, so we were okay with them being slashed to bits and torn apart.
Hmm.
Those kills were excellent.
Yes.
I loved the hair and the spiders in the hair, right? So that's where
Hmm.
our
Yep.
our, our
All
cobwebs
the
come
moods of
from.
it. Yep. Like I
Um,
said, the vibe and everything.
the
Yeah.
yeah yeah it was excellent.
Yeah. It's just like a
Just a great movie.
ridiculous amount of blood underneath the piano. All those
Oh
little
yeah,
touches
that was
were
great.
wonderful. It made no sense, but it was great to watch. Like I said, the Halloween mood. It sets during Halloween. There's pumpkins everywhere. There's orange and black everywhere.
Yep.
It just puts you in the spirit, and all the spooky things that would happen, especially with the ghost story in the house. It's like it looks cool, and it's just a fun story. As much as yeah, 4 is harsh, but that's critical.
That's
Uh,
critical. Yeah.
it's a guilty pleasure. It's a 6
Sure.
or 7 in the heart, for sure.
I loved so the sister through the wall tells Peter all the things that the parents did to her and
Hmm.
convinces Peter to try and kill them by poisoning their food. And the mother falls for it and just eats away, and the father is kind of suspicious as to what's been
Hmm.
going on, so he just kind of waits to see what happens.
Yeah,
And
it's a Princess Bride moment.
yeah the
I can't eat my soup because
the the violent vomiting from Lizzie Kaplan, like I mean, and that's the turn. That's when we know that the movie is changing to this to its
yeah,
its other genre for the end.
yeah. I feel like there's another movie that did like an obscene amount of black blood vomit. But like it's like over the top level of puke that starts coming out. It's it's like Saturday Night Live hose hand
Yeah,
vomit,
yeah,
or like What We Do in the Shadows when
sure,
the
sure.
Baron goes out and eats pizza and he's flying around the room. Like it's that kind of like over the topness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely been done before, but so good, so good.
Yeah. No, it's definitely going to be a staple. I think seasonally, you look for movies that put you in the spirit of it, that you can watch, that you can introduce the people to. You don't have to feel weirded out that they're going to be judging you. This isn't Human Centipede. This isn't Hostel or Martyrs, where people are going to be like really, really uncomfortable now for the rest of the day or night, and maybe even
Right.
friendship, depending on how close you are. This is like, yeah, this is Trick or Treat, just more watered down and not as lastingly impactful. And I think it's excellent to see. It's too bad it didn't get released. I don't really know if it would get hype if it came out right now. It might, but it's been a weird year, so I don't know it would necessarily be a slam dunk. It obviously would have made more money,
Yeah, simply just
but
releasing in October, more people would see it, and that would have,
I'm
that
sure
would
they
have done
had their
something.
reasons,
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't know why you would really release it up against Barbenheimer or whatever they were calling it.
The ad wizards,
Yeah.
they figured it was the right call, so
Yeah.
or they were just dumping it. Look, nothing makes any sense. We live in the upside down.
That's yeah.
This year's been confusing as hell. This is just another tick on that column.
That's true. All right, I gave it a 6.
And I landed at a 4.
And for the podcast for the recently deceased, I've been Nate Roberts,
I'm Rodney Godak.
and we'll see you next time.
Take care.